record this one so I can go back and watch it. So anyway, take it away, you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have fun at your meeting. So Greg asked me to moderate this call. Hopefully, I'm sure I'm not going to be the one talking the whole time, because this is actually a topic that I recently kind of got a little bit better at. So I would love maybe to start with the question of who on the call feels they have a really good onboarding system and would like to share what that is and how they get their coaches set up for success right away, because it's not my strong suit. For me, my strong suit is the leadership, like leading the diamonds, and that's my jam. The new coaches is where I struggle. So I want to ask you guys, does anyone have a system that's been working? Like, do you have a lot of success starters? What are you doing to accomplish that with your new coaches? Does anyone want to share? Jamie?
I don't have to be the first to share, but I feel like my onboarding system's gotten a lot better. It's something I spent a lot of time with last year really focusing on, because I didn't feel like it was a strong suit. So,
you want to share? Can you share a little bit about what you're doing with your new coach?
My goal was to find a way to help them be more independent early on, because I think I've protected them. I mothered them and kept them in my nest, which just held them back for a long time, but I didn't want them to feel abandoned either. So really I really was striving to not hear the O word a lot, like everyone's like feeling overwhelmed, and we do kind of put that as an off limits word, and we like from day one, like it's grounded in mindset, and so I kind of put that word off limits, but then have created some systems that are pretty independent. So basically my new coach training, I went from, anybody hear that noise? Is that just me? No? Okay, it's kind of distracting. Anyway, but everyone's muted, so anyways. So basically I went off of a Coach Basics group because I didn't feel like I wasn't seeing success starters. I didn't feel like people were engaging. I felt like they'll post a day or every few days, like people were just always saying like, oh, I'm behind. And I don't like feeling behind. Like it's a stressful situation for myself. And so I can imagine that's how a brand new coach would feel like that too. And when we all started and when I started, there was no Coach Basics. So I think Mindy Wender had created a video series on YouTube like a couple months in, and I was like, gold mine. But I took my Coach Basics curriculum. I stopped running monthly groups, and I moved it into an email system. So I switched them so it sounded like an email, and people they subscribe to them. It's their first step as a new coach. It comes in my orientation. I do a little welcome video that's pinned in my PS page. That video tutorial, like it shows them, here are the groups you're in and what they're for. Here's how to turn off notifications. Here's the website, our team website, and how to sign up for our coach training emails. And it's self-paced. I tell them to go at their own pace, to pick a pace they can sustain over the course of a year, and not just try to soak up a bunch of information once. So if they can't do an email a day, that's fine, just to leave it unread or organize it, save it so it's future reference. And really I feel like that itself alone has been a huge shift in teaching independence from day one, because they're in charge of their pace. They're in charge of if they read that email, and they know that it's on them to train themselves, but the information's all there. They can save it, and they also have something they immediately can duplicate. They can plug their new coaches into the email training system, or they can save those and forward them, create their own, whatever they want. And then I've got that sense of, and then they have accountability questions and responses they can send to me, or it just says in the email, reply to me or your upline coach if it's not me, with the answers to these questions or your takeaways. And then I created the training of not just me. I picked leaders in the business that I've really learned a lot from. I took those topics and I found the best one on YouTube from different leaders. So they were hearing, and they were already getting exposed to other personalities, ages, demographics, and I wanted to give them a taste early on of this success can look like, it can be for anyone and not just a single girl that was a school counselor, like, so that the training, and I think the training can always be refined. Like I'm trying to decide now if I want to like switch some of the sequencing and stuff like that, but that's an easy fine-tune thing. I did use MailChimp, which is technically a no-no. I mean, they don't technically let you do MLM stuff on MailChimp. So just know that, but it was just the easiest one for me because I was already using that for a newsletter. So, and then they also have, and you can do the self, the auto send. And then from there, I also wanted to have that personal relationship, but it gave me a tool to have a different forum to really work in depth with my coaches. And I have higher recruiting numbers. So I can't do one-on-one. I don't want to do one-on-one. So I create clusters. I create cohorts is what I call them, mentorship cohorts. And that's how I recruit for publicly. Like my call to actions are for my next cohort and my next mentorship. And then I kind of fill them. And often I'll try to I'll try to fill them based on pace. So if someone's taking, like my Welcome Email has an About Me form, and I don't really announce them until I do the About Me, and they've done like the GSR webinar, which is part of that Welcome Email. So I don't do a GSR, they do a webinar where I'm going over the business basics, so that our first call is like goal setting and just like a getting to know you kind of expectations type stuff. So all of that, they kind of have to do independently from day one. And I'm like in their ear and messaging them and helping them nudge along. But when they have watched the GSR, they've done their About Me, then I'll do an announcement. And then they go into like a little cohort as I've got 4 to 5 coaches that are kind of ready to go. And then that is in a message thread. And that becomes kind of their success partner posse for the first couple months, 3 months, 4 months, as they're in a challenge group with me as like challengers while they're training. And then I start helping them and walking them through the invite process. So doing their grand opening post, which often leads into like a free challenge, or starting to invite, like do a call to action. And then they have each other to kind of share examples of their messages, because in the bigger groups, nobody ever would share like rough drafts and, get feedback because they were too intimidated. And so they'd have one another to answer. I have them ask questions in there, so then they can answer each other, or I only answer it once for the whole group and they all kind of hear it. But then they start building friendships and going and whatnot. But then as, natural attrition happens, and, you've got 5 or 6 great, coaches that are ready to go, and maybe like 2 make it and are still like running after 2 months or something like that. But they've got one another and they're not isolated in that. And then I kind of do the teaching format of like educators that is a teaching model of I do, we do, you do, the gradual release. And so like I do a group, they're in it as my participants and challengers, and they can invite to it. But then we plan and we run one together, and I co-lead it with them, but I kind of give them the leadership responsibilities. And then I support them as they run their own group. And I'm just in there. It's kind of like a fly on the wall. I post and as a challenger and just give them love and support. And then they kind of move off on their own. So that's kind of like their first few months. And my goal is by like month 3, they are running their groups together. They found success partners and whatnot. But from that first month, we set goals. I give them a goal, a success club and Emerald. And and then they have something tangible to focus on. And they have all the training tools to go. And then we just stage tracking with the Power Threes tracker. And then they kind of submit that for accountability. And then in terms of their second month, their goal is double Emerald, which is a rank I created. I think someone posted about it recently and shared it in the wall. But it's basically like Emerald, we know what that is. Double Emerald is 2 and 2. Triple Emerald is 3 and 3. So I'm helping just continue to give them recruiting goals that are going to baby step them to Diamond, because I saw a lot of people would freeze up after Emerald, and then Diamond seems so daunting. Or maybe they don't want Diamond, but they want to continue to grow and move forward. It also helps them continue to hit Success Club and earn an income, and then not put all of their hopes and dreams on that first coach that said, I want to build, which we know that they won't, And so then they're like, oh, my coach quit. But if they continue to grow 2 by 2, they see that really they can build their business an Emerald at a time. And then it makes it a little simpler for them to show their team, their coaches, to go Emerald. And so I've had more rubies, more success starters, got tons, tons of triple emeralds and like girls that are like actually still endeavoring towards diamond and pushing, but I also don't really push them. Like I let them, we set goals every month and I help them set a new goal. Like, okay, when's your triple emerald? You know, when do you want to hit triple emerald by? But I found that, like I want them to want it in their own timing and their own pace. And so, and I just preach throughout all of that, like set a pace you can sustain. And you decide that, and so it's a lot of moving pieces, but that's my onboarding system. And it's been very transformative for my business, my income, and just their overall success. Like they're plugging in, they're staying, like people that, we have a lot of coaches will have like this crazy things happen in their first few months, like a season of life will come and change, or like, like life throws them a curveball. And a lot of times it used to like throw them off course of their business and they would probably not find their way back to coaching. They would be like, oh, it's a sign, like I'm just going to move on and do what I always did. But I found that the cohorts really helped keep them grounded in a community, and some relationships early on. And then they can continue to like pull each other back in, or just know that they've got another for support.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Jamie. A lot of what you said brought up a few questions that I had for the group. I think that's amazing. I guess everybody really just has to find their groove with onboarding. I will tell you guys that mine is really simple. Like I created a new coach guide. My thing is kind of getting them started before they're even coaches, already in the mindset of coaches, like having them do personal development in a challenge group, talking about business stuff, like, in a sneak peek, talking about Success Club and on my business opportunity call. So they're coming in with a business mindset, and I'm like the opposite of a babysitter. I really just work with those that are doing, the things that I tell them to do in my welcome coach guide, and they've watched the videos and it tells them exactly what to do after they've done that. And only then will I get on a call with them, once they've accomplished everything and posted publicly that they've become a coach. And in my guide, I have, some sample posts of, how to do it, how I would do it. But Jamie, when you were talking, you talked about coach basics not working. Is that like an across the board thing for you guys on this call? Have you abandoned it? Are you tweaking it? Are you doing more video based? Are you doing more, like Jamie said, email based, self-paced? Does anyone want to answer that question? Because it seems like a lot. I keep hearing this over and over again.
Christina, I just recently, I know everybody kind of switched over to self-paced. Becca's been doing it forever, and I was stalking Becca. Sorry, the baby's crawling on me crazy, so you hear him. I checked out Becca's and I was like, I need to do this. So we created a self-paced sneak peek, or not a sneak peek, Coach Basics, because what was happening is you enter your Coach Basics with 10 people and maybe 2 would engage, and you're putting all your love into this and posting and doing it, and then everybody's falling off. And with the self-paced, the go-getters go in there and they go get it. So that's, that's been the biggest thing. And I would love to see what some of your get started checklist, the beginning thing that you present to them and when you present to them, because we were thinking of Renee and I coming up with a video to do that, because it's another weakness we have. But that self-paced training, once we flipped over to it, we had more success starters. We had a system in place that everybody could use, because now the struggle is not my onboarding, but my coach's onboarding. So they need to know that they have that to, refer to and go to. And another thing with that, what Jamie said is I struggle with my team sometimes, they hear it from me, they hear it from Renee, but they need to hear it from other people. And that we just integrated something, and we did something with another team. And that was we had brand new coaches and coaches who have been on board for 6 months rock that, because we meshed with another team. So that was huge for us. But I'd like to see anybody's get that thing you were just talking about, the checklist when you and when you send it to them. So
okay, I'll share mine. I don't care. It's really basic. I wrote it in my own words. I've seen some that I open them and I'm like, like I wouldn't even read it. It's like way too much information, and my brain doesn't work like a Coach Basics kind of training. I just want to see, like, give me the cliff notes, and I got it, you know. And I know a lot of people I recruit are like that too. So that's kind of how I did my Coach Start Guide. But it's interesting how I keep hearing this whole, you know, self-paced is better, it's more effective. Anyone else want to share their thoughts on that? Megan, I thought you wanted to.
I did. I turned mine to self-paced, and the only thing I found for me personally was I don't feel like Coach Basics goes in like in order, like kind of in what they're going to be doing. Like for me, I kind of do a similar thing with Jamie, is like apprenticing in the challenge group, teaching them how to like give a really good experience. What I'm running into right now is I kind of created like my own Coach Basics, right? And I did the same thing. I used some of your videos, I used other leaders' videos, and I made like 4-week, you know, Coach Basics, I guess. And it's like week 1 is focusing on just learning how to manage your social media and posting and, you know, making yourself open for business. Then week 2 is like, okay, now you have people interested, talking about free groups. You know, people that have said no, you move them over into a free group. People that have said yes, okay, here's how you run a challenge group. Week 3 is kind of talking about like expanding on the challenge group experience, planting the seeds for coaching, you know, helping them, like setting it up for them to be coaches. And then like week 4 is like, okay, now you have new coaches, you know, how do you get them started? So it kind of like, but I don't know, like I'm struggling with, where do I introduce all of that to them? Because people are at all different points in the process. And it's like, how do I mean, I don't know if I should do like a self-paced group and then just have it like, okay, here's, you know, challenge groups, here's all the posts about challenge groups. Okay, coaching, here's all the posts about, and have people just, you know, plug in where they need to. I mean, has anybody tried anything like that? Or I don't know. I'm still struggling with like getting my coaches beyond Emerald and then getting my Diamond coaches beyond Diamond, like, which I know is a lot of struggles. So if anybody has ideas for that, like this is totally like what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, Marissa. So I do the self-paced stuff like a lot of you do. I totally abandoned the push to Emerald, push to Diamond groups because it just wasn't working. And I was getting the same people in it over and over and over again, and they were never progressing. It was very frustrating for me. So I went to the self-paced, absolutely love it because it's on their shoulders, and I've incorporated a lot of other people's videos. So it's like I took Coach Basics, rearranged it just so it worked how it made sense in my brain, supplemented with several other leaders from all across the network videos, so they're hearing it from tons of different people. And I did that for the Coach Basics, and then again, that's the challenge group, getting to Emerald, doing Success Club, all of that. And then we call that level 2. And then I have our level 3 tracks. So that's to go to Diamond. And that I split up so that it's topic based and that they can pick any topic they want. So I have a time management topic. I have a social media topic. I have social media 101. I'm working on 201 right now. I have one, I'm going to be doing one for Facebook ads. So I found that when I took the level 3 training and put it more topical for them, they were able to get what they wanted and just go through it at whatever rate that worked for them.
How do you do
really well?
How do you do that then? Do you have it in a group and you have like posts like a self-paced, or do you have a list of these are things you can do for time management? Like, okay, here's a list of all. Okay, so it's multiple different action steps for them to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know who it was, so I can't give the coach credit, but somebody I want to say on the wall. It was a coach who had told how she does the self-paced trainings and how you take the post and you post it and then you get the link for it and then you make a document for it in your files.
So that's what you do with the level. That's what you do with the level 3, the self-paced.
And level 2, and my Coach Basics is that way as well.
I got you.
And in Canva, I created a checklist for them. So, you know, lesson 1, lesson 2, and they can just go through and check it off for themselves when they're done. And what they're supposed to all do, this is so my entire team can plug into it so they don't have to worry about recreating the wheel. Just when people are done with a particular lesson, in the comment section, they write done and they tag their sponsor.
I did all that for Coach Basics, but now I'm like, I want to have that topic, like you said, those topics, because like Coach Basics is great general information, but I don't think it teaches a coach how to flow like through the steps of like becoming a successful coach. Personally, I don't know, maybe somebody else sees that, but I feel like it teaches them a lot of information, but not necessarily, okay, like day 1, here's what you do. You know, here's like week 2, here's what you do. Week 3, here's what you do. And I want to more teach them how to like, okay, now you're running a challenge group. Okay, here's what you need to be doing in that to make sure that everybody has an amazing experience.
Ooh,
you know,
can I share something with y'all about challenge groups that has worked so phenomenal on my team? I'm so excited about it because I was having a really, really difficult time teaching people, because like challenge groups for me are just connecting with people. I don't have difficulty with that. So sometimes it's hard to teach people who are struggling with it. So what we ended up doing, because at first it was like, this is, you know, you're in my challenge group. Okay, now it's like out of the nest kind of thing. And people were floundering. It wasn't working. So now what we do is we have a team-wide challenge group. And they have to sign up for it in our group, in my team site. So I have a separate challenge group. On my team page, they have to sign up for it, put their name, put their challenger down. If they put a challenger down, that means they are going to be a leader that month. We do month-to-month challenge groups. So I have a separate group, we call it behind the scenes, where if you're going to, let's say you're on my team, you have a challenger in there, so you're going to be a leader, but you've never done a challenge group before, but that's okay, because I might have 12 different leaders. Everyone is assigned a week. So like there might be 3 leaders in a week running the challenge group. But those of us who are seasoned, the seasoned diamonds and higher, we're there to kind of hold their hand and help them behind the scenes so that they can be in the challenge group. They look like a leader to the clients that are in there, but we're helping them behind the scenes. They're getting so confident and comfortable with what they're supposed to do because we're modeling it for them and then having them lead at the same time. It's been phenomenal. My team wants to do this every single month. And it's great because I'm not getting burned out anymore on challenge groups, because I was when I was having to run them myself every single month. Now I'm literally running from a leader standpoint, the first week of the month, that's it. And then my team is running it the rest of the weeks.
I have a good challenge group process and having them apprentice in like the second month. I just, you know what, I don't do what Jamie said and have them do a 3rd month and then be in their group like a fly on the wall, which is a great idea. I kind of, after the apprenticing, I push them out. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try doing it where I go in their group and still give them that, like, I'm still there, you know, I'm still, even though I'm not really going to do much of anything.
I really encourage them to stick together. Like, to stick together. I used to just kind of like assume that they would keep running groups, and then I would find like 2 months later, because I don't like babysit them, you know, like I'd find like some of them had just stopped running groups and then their business just stalled out. So if I kind of more just directive, like, this is your challenge group posse for the next 3, 4, 5 months, you know, then they just, whether they want to, they can choose not to or do it, but then they can start, then they kind of just continue to keep going. And then bring their coaches in them and continue to duplicate that process. It helps.
I don't know if you guys have this struggle, but like, I'm not forceful with my people. I've seen coaches that do that, and it just doesn't work for me. If somebody told me go run your own challenge group, I probably would have looked at them working full time and been like, no way, I can't do it. I'll just do what I'm doing. So for my team, we do like a monthly challenge group, and everybody's participating in the momentum because everybody and all their challengers in there just seems to work, and it just vibes with our team. So I have a diamond who's trying to do it, you know, trying to force her people to go run challenge groups. And I'm kind of like, they've seen how we lead and they're like, but we like doing it as a team. And then what you see is naturally people will break off and start to run their own groups as they're comfortable and ready. So I'm cool with that. But one of the things, one of my diamonds said to us last Tuesday night on the call was, I would like to have something set up for brand new coaches other than and I didn't get this, like the checklist. And then you have your coach basics, which is your self-paced training. She's like, key target points that new coaches should know. And I'm like, okay, like what, you know? And I'm trying to get suggestions and advice from her. And and I was like, but that's in the coach basics, it's self-paced. So like, she wanted these like if you're a brand new baby coach and you come on, like what are the key points and key things that this person should know? And she started talking about challenge groups and all that. And I'm thinking in my head, I was just wondering what you guys' opinion was. If somebody were to tell me as a brand new baby coach, because I hear this from the new coaches, okay, you got to go run your own challenge group, like right out the gate. That's super scary for them, right? Like, am I the only one that think that that's scary for these new baby coaches? And I was wondering, like, I guess, you know, we run things as a team and then they eventually break off when they're comfortable and ready. And they do. Like, they're already, you know, trying to name next month's challenge group. But what are the things that you find are overwhelming for new baby coaches? And what are the things that you're putting there that aren't overwhelming for them?
I'll chime in. What I found with the challenge groups, just running a team-wide one, is I found that there would be people that would throw their people in there and then they wouldn't do anything. And they weren't leading. They weren't learning how to support their people. So I basically just, what works for me is 1 month they're a challenger. And then if they want to be then they can apprentice on the next month where we run it together. The following month, they run it with another coach that's a newer coach. So they run it together. But I have the format for them all laid out with copy and paste. All they have to do is like use the post, and it has personal development in it too. They just have to use the whole system that I have created for them. But then they just have to like really work on connecting with their people. They don't have to create the wheel. For me, I found that team-wide challenge groups were not working. I've tried those. They didn't work for me. So
I'll just chime in when I've done. Jamie, your system's awesome, but it just totally made my head spin. Like, do you have assistants? Like, I work like 6 hours a week. Like, there is no way I am matching people up and going in their challenge groups. Like, I'm worried about my people. So I am self-paced because I can't manage a team of 500 and success partners and their challenge groups and all that. So let me tell you what I did. Self-paced, of course. I dumbed everything down, really dumbed it down. So my Coach Basics, I got rid of my checklist too, by the way. I have one and it says, if you don't want a training, go do this checklist. If they do the training, my day one is log into your website, write down your login. Like, seriously, that's like day one. Post on Facebook a picture of your challenge box on your doorstep. Say, I'm excited. Day two. So I dumbed it down and held their hand and said, do this day one, day two. So it's about 15 days where I tell them exactly what to post on social media. And then my challenge group day, which is like maybe day 5 or 6, says, go into Facebook, create a group, call it Coach Jody Support. And I tell them what to post on Facebook to invite people to their group. So I dumbed it way, way down that they have to be able to follow it and hopefully not get overwhelmed. And then in the days like challenge group, then I say, refer to the resources for challenge group guide. It tells you exactly what to post for the next 30 days in this group that I just told you how to create. It's not wordy. It's baby steps each day, but I found that they weren't coming to me overwhelmed. Even the checklist, even though I thought it was easy, it was like step 1, 2, like a checklist, they weren't doing it. They were like calling me like, well, how do I get somebody to my website? I'm like, hello, you're welcome email. So I found when I dumbed it way down. So it's still Coach Basics, but it also has a social media post. And then it also walks them through to not make it scary. I hope. It's on a website where they do it all themselves, and then there's comment blocks. So we can interact if they have questions. And then Marissa, to answer your question on topics. So then on the website, we have a resources page that is by topic. So even though the stuff's already in the new coach training and the Emerald training, it's then in a second spot on a resources page that says challenge groups, success club. And in the resources, I have videos from coaches all over, documents, pictures, checklists, like anything I find on any of those topics. So if they don't want to do the training, we go to the resources. So it's working for me, but like I don't have time to be doing something. Like some of you guys are spending a lot more time than I have to offer with my coach. You know, I just can't do that.
Christina, can we see that list that you were talking about that you were going to show us?
Me?
Yeah, you were going to show us something, right? It was like your checklist or something.
Well, I was going to post it in the group. It's a Google Doc. It's not a list. It's a Google Doc that you just kind of scroll through and you read. So I'll post it after the call if you guys Well, I mean, I could open it up now, but I think it's kind of not wordy, but it's like 6 pages long. So if I would just post it, and you guys, if you like it, you can just copy and paste it. It's real simple. But what I wanted to say, because Jody, I know you work limited hours a week on the business. I really think that the answer to all this is that you have to do what works for you and your team, right? I don't think there's this cookie cutter. This is the perfect way to do it. If you do this, all your coaches will hit Success Club. I just don't think that exists. I think it's just trying to find what works for you. What's your jam? Like, I don't personally even do like the whole challenge group trainings. My new coaches will plug into my next challenge group, and I let them know behind the scenes, like, watch what's going on, because soon you're going to be doing this on your own. And, you know, we have the document where you can just, you know, post cron or use Hootsuite, all the posts, and they get that. And they use that in their own groups. But I guess I'm personally just a little bit more hands off in terms of that. And the clusters, though, the group messages, I think across the board, I can say one thing. I think that works. So if you're not doing that, I think that's something everyone should be doing, especially because we're pushing for elite and we need those at least 4 coaches to hit Success Club a month, obviously. Coaches, or, you know, smaller groups, depending how much you recruit a month. For instance, like this month with the cup, I have 2 cup teams that I'm running just through messages, no group, no nothing. And, you know, one group, they're really encouraging each other to hit Success Hub. So I know that that definitely works. Does anyone else have any other like tips like that? Because I think when it comes to the onboarding system, the list, the checklist, the Google Doc, the self-paced training, I think we could all agree that we're going to all differ on that, on how we do that. But Sarah, you wanted to share something.
How else?
Sorry. I just want to add.
Hold on, let's give it to Sarah a second. Let's give it to Sarah.
Sorry, I've wanted to ask from the beginning because Jamie brought it up, but taking like Coach Basics and stuff off of Facebook, I feel like Facebook is such a distraction for new coaches. That's where they get caught up in comparing themselves to other new coaches and doing too much watching instead of doing. And so I'm curious to hear if those that have taken Coach Basics off of Facebook, made it email or on their website, if they've noticed a huge difference in people sticking with it, as opposed to running it through like a group on Facebook.
I have it through MailChimp and I have it as a group. And I feel like the people that are going to do it are going to do it. That's what I feel like. Like I have people that don't do it and I'm just like, what, you know, I mean, you can't force them. And then the people that are going to do it are going to do it. So what it shows me every time is like, okay, I just need to recruit more. I don't see a difference between my self-paced on Facebook and my MailChimp one. Same thing.
Sarah, one thing I did in my welcome video is I kind of gave them an action point to download the Chrome extension to block your Facebook newsfeed. So one of their first to-do items is to block their newsfeed. So it's like, it's just, I think, so what Marissa, I haven't made the group on Facebook for that reason, because I want them to take the training more like as a training. But I think just telling them a few times, because we all need to hear things more than once, like, have you blocked your newsfeed? Are you staying out of your newsfeed? You know, and I schedule time. Like I kind of suggest they schedule time to go into their newsfeed and like look at other coaches and do it as more of an assignment, but so they know that that's not in your like daily action items. Because I agree. I think that it stalls people out more than it helps them.
I think I die without my newsfeed. It's like my therapy. I just go on and I'm
have it on my phone.
just watching people. But that's a really good tip, because I know that I could spend like 17 hours a day just scrolling Facebook. Something just popped into my head that I wanted to share quickly that I actually just did this week for the first time. And I asked who in just my PS page, it wasn't like with just my new coaches, but I asked who are they following on Facebook, that they like their social media or modeling their social media behind, not copying, but modeling. And it was interesting. A lot of the new coaches that commented on this thread are following other new coaches, which is good to an extent. But what if they're following people that are horrible on social media? And some of them, actually most of the new ones were. And I had to, you know, manage the conversation, but I steered them based on their personality types to people either on our team that are good at social media or outside. Megan, are you drinking wine? It's like noon. I'm just kidding. I wish I could drink wine. But we have a cruise in 19 days, guys. No drinking wine. But I steered them to, you know, whether some of you or whatever that are really good on social media that fit their personality types. And I've already started to see some good, better social media posts from my new coaches. So I just wanted to drop that because that was kind of an interesting little exercise that I did, because when they would say, oh, I'm following so-and-so, I was like, oh, that's why, you know, like, oh my God, we need to fix that right now. So it's something that did, and it worked to kind of fix their social media at the beginning, because, you know, it's always the pain point of getting a new coach started. Anyone else have any other?
I wanted to ask you a question about your group thread. I like that. And I do that with some of my older coaches, and I put them together, like I call them focus groups based on their energies. And we have a group, but how do you manage that? Do you post in it every day? Like how often do you, or does it kind of start running itself after a while and they just start like communicating with each other and you're not even really doing it?
Does anyone want to take that to share what they do in their thread? And I'll share a little bit about what I do, but if anyone else wants to. Becca?
So something that I did, just to answer this question without going into like a ton of details, last year, so I haven't had much luck with any sort of emerald to diamond style trainings for like the last year and a half. So what I did last year was I took all my coaches, all my personally sponsored coaches only, and maybe one or two from my downline if their coach wasn't really working. And I put them in just a private message. I have one going right now too. So there's probably like between 8 and 15 people in it. And it's basically my emerald to diamond group. And what I did was I just formed it. And I said, everybody in here, you know, has told me that they have goals of getting to this spot. And so I just wanted to have a place where everybody who was around the same, you know, place, around the same goals could just talk. And it was huge. It was so much better than any sort of emerald to diamond training because they could just ask questions in live time. There was no training. I didn't post any sort of like, here's your post for the day. In fact, the only thing I would do was I would go in once or twice a week and just basically roll call and say, what do you have left? What are you working on? You know, how many coaches are you starting this week? What's your goal? And that was pretty much it. So like twice a week, I would basically just restart the energy in the group. But they would talk to each other all the time. And I didn't really have to manage it all that much unless there was a question that no one else could answer, which was rare. But mostly it would be like, you know, someone got this objection and then everyone would chime in on how to handle it. And so they all kind of taught each other, which was great. And they all became success partner friends through the ordeal. So now that group from last year that all went diamond in the summer of last year are now like my star diamonds and they're all friends. So it's helped keep them all plugged into each other. And I think to the community. So I've found that if coaches don't get plugged in with somebody pretty quickly, then the chance of them leaving is way higher when they have a struggle. So I've been trying to do the same thing, even with new coaches, like you were saying, getting them in little pods. But I found that for coaches that are past new, so coaches that are past kind of success starters and in that like no man's land between that and really building, where a lot of people get stuck for like a year, when I put them in like, I mean, there's not really a name for it, but it's basically like an emerald to diamond group message. And I just had it going for like 2 months until, and then once one person hit diamond, the whole energy and the whole thing tipped. And I went from like 5 to 14 within like 4 months, because as soon as one person started to hit diamond, all of their success partners were like, oh shit, like I gotta like keep up. And so then they all started to go diamond, and then they pulled even the stragglers that I wasn't really even expecting along, because they just got hyped up in this energy and everybody got real excited together and everyone was celebrating. And even though it was just a private message, it wasn't like public in our team page or anything. It was really, really beneficial. So that's what I've done now instead of Emerald to Diamond. I still have Emerald to Diamond training, the actual group, and I do it via e-course. Yeah, just a group message on Facebook. I do it via eCourse off Facebook. So I have it all on a blog. And I'll run a live Emerald to Diamond training, usually quarterly, because I feel like that information is just good for people to learn. But people don't really go Diamond during Emerald to Diamond trainings. Like, it's more just learn all this information. So it's more those like push groups that are private that I've seen the most success with my team, at least. And that's like across the personality board. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Pearl, all of them seem to do better in the private groups. One little thing that I think helps with that, and that some of them told me, is that you can't really hide a private message like you can hide a group. Like, you can turn off your notifications for a group, or you can forget that you're in it, you know, if you just don't see it. But a message keeps popping up, like right on your screen, so you can't really ignore it. So that kind of helps, they said, to really like keep them in the right mentality and remind them of what they were working on.
I love that. I think it's so true that the threads are really working. So Marissa, you asked, like, what do I say? I have a leadership one, you know, with all my diamonds in it, and that one kind of just runs itself. My group of leaders, they just like to party, so they're always like making fun of each other, planning parties, and that's what they like to do. But they're good producers, so I don't mind. But with the new coaches, it's really a good opportunity for me to share things that are in my head that I don't put out there. Like, you know, a lot of people work on scripts. Scripts give me hives. Like, I don't script, and my sister's huge on scripts, if you know her, and she has this script document that I do share with my coaches, but I'm just not a scripter. So what I do in there, Marissa, that works awesome, is I tell them, all right, guys, today I have an hour. Shoot me some of your messages that you're sending out, and let me critique them, or let me show you how I would have responded to that. And like that, and so it's hands-on training, you know, where I'm in there saying, okay, this is what I would have done in that situation. So they're learning through what I have in here, the last 5 years of experience. So I do that. I post motivational videos. I, you know, obviously, you know, successful point checks, things like that just keep the conversation moving. I pair up people. Like, when I start seeing them kind of gravitating towards each other, I'll be like, you guys should really become success partners and, you know, become diamond push buddies and stuff like that. So it's just kind of just keeping it active, keeping them engaged. And when you start to see someone kind of back off or not comment, that's when, you know, I did it this week where I had one of my girls kind of, you know, she hadn't plugged in for like a week. So I asked another one, so it's not coming from me. I asked another girl, can you message so-and-so to see what's up with her? And it revived her again. And she felt that somebody cared about her, that they realized, you know, so kind of little things like that make a world of difference. I've realized that in my PS group, it's always the same people commenting on all the posts, and my new coaches, I think people feel intimidated by that in a group setting that goes for Coach Basics or for whatever. So these threads keep it more personal and more action-based than anything. Anyone else have any more tips? We have about 10 more minutes.
I think also, at least on my team, I know that my coaches felt a lot more personally connected to me, which, I mean, from our side, we may feel like it's all the same, but for some reason, being in the message made a big difference. And I will do the same thing. So if I have a chunk of time, I'll just sit down and talk with whoever's at their computer or on their phone. So like yesterday, I had a whole bunch of coaches who for 2 weeks didn't add one person to their downline that are in that group. So I went in and I just said, hey, if you're someone that's in the group and you haven't added a new coach in the last 2 weeks, tell me what's holding you back. And for an hour, I literally just sat and like rapid fire chatted with whoever was just available. And it was a great conversation. And I forced them basically to tell me what their limits, like what they were saying to themselves, their mythology about their situation that was holding them back. And so I literally just dug deep with each of them. As soon as they told me what's holding them back, I said, well, you know, why do you feel that way? What's an action step that you can take this week to get by that? What is, you know, the belief that you have that's stopping you there? And then when they would start telling me, I would say, well, what's your why? And make them tell the whole group. And then I would say, well, you know, how important is that why to you? And basically just forcing through the thought process live and in front of their success partners of, no, this is what I really want in my heart that's important. Here's why it's important. Okay, I'm going to get over myself and just send somebody a message, you know, like, and I had like 4 of them private message me after and just say like, I can't believe that you took the time to just sit and, you know, answer everybody's messages. And for me, I feel like, well, of course I would take the time. But for them, for some reason, it felt very much more connected than a team call or the groups or anything like that. So I think just having that like direct hotline to you in a group message makes them feel way more supported, at least my coaches for some reason.
Anybody else want to chime in on this topic?
I'm not sure if this, will be helpful to anybody, but I know Craig wanted me to share what I've been doing that's been helping me to get people moving through the training, because I was spending a lot of time chasing people down who said they wanted it, and I give them some tools to get started, and then it wasn't happening. So I was using Marissa's, her checklist at some level, but what I was realizing was people, it's overwhelming. Even the original welcome email I had, people weren't taking some initial first steps, like very, very simple ones. So I started with just the About Me form using a Google form, and using an add-on to the form. It prompts them right to my Acuity scheduler to schedule a GSR. So right from there About Me, and so they think, awesome, I get to talk to her right away and get myself, pulled together. Well, they schedule the call, and the confirmation email then sends them the checklist. Prior, it was sitting in their inbox, I'm going to get to it, because it's kind of overwhelming to look at at first. Once you get started, you realize it's not that big a deal. The problem is the accountability of starting it. So once that's call scheduled, it creates a sense of urgency, because now it's on my calendar and theirs, and we're not getting on a phone call without it. And it's basically a lot of the GSR stuff. So on the call, I'm not spending a whole lot of time explaining the business quick start on these first things. So the big thing is it's giving them urgency to actually do the first steps, because that call is now scheduled and they don't want to let me down, or they don't want to have to, So that's been helping me get, not chase people down. They're actually getting on the call with me quick and getting to the training quick if they're going to do it. So some of these things, like I think I identify a lot with you, Christina and Jody. I will hold a hand for anybody who's doing something, but I'm not chasing people down. And so I think this is helping me identify those who are going to do something. I really like to create empowerment in the early stages, rather than feel like I don't have in those streamlined systems. I'm not very organized and detail oriented, but they have the tools, and I have leaders who lead. I don't have diamonds who drop rank. So even though I don't feel like I'm getting people right there quick, the people who are going to do it, they do it, and they hold, and they're leaders. So I've been beating myself up, like not having the most perfect onboarding system and streamlined processes. But what I've realized is the people who get there and they're serious about it, and they lead, and they help me lead the rest of my team. And I like what you were saying, Jody. Like my training system is pretty basic. It's not super extensive. So what I've been doing is I'm giving them like the basics of the topic. And because what I was doing was giving them so much information, the coach basics, and they just would fizzle out. So I'm giving them just enough, and then saying optional resources below. So they felt a sense of achievement getting from day 1 to day 2, and not feeling like they had to do everything to move forward. And if they wanted to, if they had the time, if they were just a go-getter who wanted to, hustle right now, they would they'll take every additional optional resource available to them. But those who weren't at that place yet, they felt a sense of they were digesting something each day and making forward motion, rather than pausing and being paralyzed by all this information they haven't consumed yet, and they're being overwhelmed. So I feel like that's been helpful. So people are actually completing the training, rather than like feeling like I just can't even do all this. But those who want it, they have access to it, and they can take it all in. And those who just need more time, they'll finish the training and take their own pace. And Voxer app has been the greatest tool for me in staying connected with those people who want, because Facebook Messenger, it's just nuts. So I've been using the Voxer app just really consistently with any coach who wants this, because they know that I'll be right there, back and forth, getting in there. But those who, I don't spend a lot of time chasing people down. If they don't want this, I gotta let them go. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's been working pretty well for me.
What's the Voxer app?
Ooh.
VOXER. It's like a walkie-talkie. It's so much better than Facebook Messenger when it comes to voice messaging. Okay. You don't have to wait for a minute. I mean, just download it. It'll change your life.
All right. I'm going to get that. Thank you.
All right. That was awesome, Megan. Yes, I use Voxer too. It's awesome. I love Voxer. And if you're going on the cruise, it's a great idea to get it because I don't think you need Wi-Fi to use Voxer. So instead of walking around with walkie-talkies on the cruise, you can use the Voxer app with your phone so you can get your cruise buddies on it. I think this conversation was awesome. What do you guys think? Was it good? Helpful? I think we learned some stuff. I think we learned that we're all different. I think we learned that we're all amazing either way. And that just little tweaks, I think, go a long way, like these threads, keeping it simple. One of my big things this year is really teaching how to get them started even before they're coaches. I think you cause less stress on yourself and on them if you're already getting them into that entrepreneur mindset even before they sign up. And I think the sneak peeks and business opportunity calls do that. All right, so Craig already messaged me. He's like, okay, don't go over 1 o'clock, or was it? Yeah, 1. So I am going to leave the meeting. I'm going to shut down the meeting, and I will post my coach guide. If you guys want to post yours, let's do that. Maybe we can create a file or something to keep them all organized so we don't lose them. And that's it. You guys, awesome conversation. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the cruise pretty soon.
You too.
Bye, everybody.